Welcome everyone to another edition of Drunk Agile, one of those crazy Drunk Agile episodes where we're dressed the same, we're drinking the same stuff, So hopefully like I said, hopefully we publish these in order. So Nisha's still in the same place. We're all
That
here.
that that's true regardless of.
That's fair. We have no proof that she
Yeah.
moves anywhere, even in between videos. So anyway, well, we're glad to have you here. We want to follow up on a previous discussion that we were having. Like I said, we're not sure if it's the last video that you watched or the last video in this progression. But talking about this idea of validation, we published a video called "Done is not what you think it is," and in that video we suggested that hey, there's got to be some type of validation, some type of learning, some type of whatever step after what you would traditionally call something done. And in that video, we said, okay, well, even then, though, validation probably isn't what you think it is. So, Prateek, what do we mean by that?
Um, there's been for the longest time, at least I believed, the traditional definition of feedback, which was you went to your customers and you asked them, "Hey, how is this working? Can you rate this out of from 1 to 10?" And then you created like an NPS score or something like that. That's what most folks believe feedback and validation is. If we get a high NPS score, if 80% of our customers say this thing is great, we did the right thing. Turns out that's not necessarily true. Uh, Validation and feedback are not necessarily what we think they are.
Do we want to get into the classic? Do we want to get into the classic example we have of that, or should we save
Yeah.
that for, or should we try something, or should we use something else? Should we use another?
Let's do something else. There's actually a new example. There's a new example of
Okay.
this. I think this was about this is being recorded in the middle of 2024. About a year ago, Netflix came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna crack down on password sharing. Um, you guys are not gonna. We noticed that a lot of people are sharing their passwords, so it's costing us money. We're gonna cut down password sharing." And a large portion of the customer base went, "Well, if you do that, I'm out of here. I'm not resubscribing. I'm cutting out my subscriptions." Like Netflix seemed poised to lose millions of subscribers by doing this thing. They said, "We're going to roll this out," and millions of subscribers said, "No, we're not taking it." And Netflix went ahead with it. And turns out they actually gained millions of subscribers instead of losing millions of subscribers, despite all the feedback that they got. In fact, all the early feedback that they got in their discovery phase that they'll lose customers, they actually ended up gaining customers.
So this seems kind of unintuitive and not only unintuitive, but probably against traditional agile dogma that you should be talking to your customers and you should be learning to them. And to be clear, we're not saying don't talk to your customers. That's not what we're saying. What we are saying, however, is you can't necessarily listen to them. You can't necessarily listen to what they're saying, and that validation doesn't come from the conversation with your customers. Validation really comes from watching what they do. And for me, most importantly, and I think this is where the Netflix example hits the nail on the head, where they spend their money. It's not necessarily what they use and how they're using it, but are they spending more money? Are they giving us more money based on the new feature that we rolled out? For me, assuming a capitalistic society, for me, that's probably the true validation is our customers continuing to spend money, or are they spending more money with us?
Yeah, and since this is, I'm going to throw another example in here. Since this is Drunk Agile, I have to use this example. About, I don't know if it was a year, 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, maybe, I was in Berlin at a bar that shows the prices of the beer on these big TV monitors. Like you'd expect to see sports up there, but you don't. You see price of beer, and the price changes every 15 minutes. And the price of all the beer changes every 15 minutes based on how much of that beer has been ordered of late. They are not going to customers and having them fill out forms with NPS surveys. They are literally seeing what are people ordering. People ordering that, I'm going to increase the price. People are not ordering that, I'm going to lower the price. And my guess is over time, they go, oh, this one keeps falling to the bottom all the time. Let's stop carrying this one. Let's carry a different beer. That is what we mean by validation, observing customer behavior, not asking customers for their opinion.
Yeah. You also have a really good Facebook example too from I think from way back when. You have to be kind of an old school Facebook user to really remember this. I don't know if we necessarily get into that, but I did want to show everybody. If you want to learn more about these examples, there happens to be a book out there, as well as Prateek's done a few flavors of a talk that you just call it Everybody Lies, right? Isn't
Everybody Lies, yeah.
And that's the point. Your customers are lying to you. They don't mean to lie to you, and they don't necessarily know that they're lying to you, but they're probably lying to you. They probably are, and so that's why it's more important to watch their behavior than necessarily rely too much on things like customer surveys and NPS scores and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anything else along with that? I mean, is there anything else? So we're trying to tie this into this whole idea of validation. How do you validate? So yes, you can do customer surveys. Yes, you can do NPS. Yes, you can do all that stuff, but you can't necessarily trust that stuff. We're saying you put more stock in, watching your customers' actions. Is there any other angle to this? Is there any other dimension of this that we should be concerned ourselves with for that validation piece?
Well, that's if you've ended up including that validation piece in your flow metrics, if you ended up doing that, the natural progression of this is to say, now we need to instrument our products so we can watch customers. Now we need to, because this thing is taking a whole bunch of cycle time in this validation, we need to automate this. So that almost forces you to fix that part of your product. This is tech debt that you didn't even know existed because you weren't watching what your customers are doing. So once you start watching click rates, watching which menu item gets selected, which feature gets used, which doesn't get used, you could then start making decisions like, oh, we've had this feature in our product for 2 years and no one's clicked on it. Great time to delete something. You can start making. So that's the other part of this, which is you start instrumenting your code to watch customer behavior. It'll tell you a lot of things.
That was the natural progression I was going to take it to. I'm glad you went there. I mean, we've known for years anecdotally. I mean, I think papers were first published on this back in the 90s. I think the rough Pareto rule of software, right? That 80% of your users only use about 20% of your code, or something like that. But and so what we're saying is this is one of the ways that we can kind of validate that if there's we've worked at a ton of companies where there's a ton of software out there that we could tell some good stories about this ton of software out there that nobody's really using, that should be yanked. And what's funny is I kind of went through this with another company that I was working with. You tell customers you're going to yank this stuff, and just like in the Netflix example, they will scream bloody murder, right? They'll be like, "Oh my God, you can't do that, can't do that." And then when you pull it, crickets. It's like, whatever. So, I think I was offering you the final word, but I think I just took it. Anything else to wrap us up? Is that, or are we good?
Don't. Just my mind just went to dog treats. Don't just assume that your dog's going to like this treat. Like, buy a little bit, bring it home, and then find out if she's actually going to reject it or not. So, it's a great tip for saving money on dog treats as well.
That's title of Prateek's next book, Dog Treats. With that, we had a side bet that would Prateek finish that whiskey before we and he. I think I lost the bet because I bet that you were going to, and you didn't. So
I mean, if you talk for a little bit,
I was going to say I
It'll
was
make
just
this
going to
happen.
suggest maybe we should keep talking, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to torture anybody else. So just there you go. I win. So just like done is not what you think it is, validation isn't necessarily what you think it is. Maybe rethink what you're doing in terms of communicating with your customers, not just talking to them, not just having them fill out surveys, but watching what they actually do. Seems like common sense to me. With that, for Nisha and her pal,
Let's get Nisha Cam.
the Nisha Cam.
There we are.
Yeah. For Nisha and I didn't see where'd Farticus go? There's Farticus. Poor thing. For Nisha, for Spartacus, for Prateek, my name is Daniel Vacanti. As always, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the video. Give us some other things to talk about. We love hearing from you. In fact, I think both of these videos were inspired by user comments. I've got to get this one last dig in about Scrum. It just reminded me.
I almost went to sprint review as you were talking, and I didn't.
Okay, we're gonna do it. Especially a special added 30 seconds of Drunk Agile. We were getting a lot of comments about how these feedback loops, the problem with feedback loops is that they slow you down because we have to wait for our customers to respond. We have to wait for our stakeholders to show up to our review meeting and things like that. And for me, the point is, and they're like, well, the whole value of, say, like a sprint review is that I can get a meeting on a calendar and I know my stakeholder is going to show up. And if this video has taught you anything, if you're ready to review something with your stakeholder and they aren't either available or you can't get time scheduled with them or whatever, trust me, that is a huge signal that they don't believe what you're doing is valuable. Because if they thought it was valuable, they would be there. And I know we're going to get all kinds of hate mail about this, but I guarantee it, especially people who are spending their own money, if they truly think it's valuable, they will be there, regardless of whatever meeting is set up on their calendar. I don't know, Prateek, do you want to say anything to that?
No, it's at the end of the day, everything is economics. Their time is scarce resource, and they have to figure out, oh, there's Coco. They have to figure out how to best spend that scarce resource. And if your stuff is not important enough to spend that scarce resource, it probably isn't important enough. Okay, that's just distracting.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of feedback, speaking and delivering what your customers want, right? That's the thing with pets. They're very, like when you showed up, when you came home, they're very vocal. They will tell you exactly what they want when they want. Anyway, you're welcome to this special bonus content for Drunk Agile. Sorry we kept you longer than what we thought we were going to.
But on the positive side,
you finished, yeah. Hope everybody has a great evening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Okay.